Greetings YouTube, to have another net Librum video. I do enjoy these. And today, Mandarin has joined us. So we're going to bring up a random number generator. We're going to find 5 random numbers from the chart and see how we can use those as inspiration for RPG ideas. So, first number, 9202. We're way at the bottom of this list. 9202. We're in the 94s. Almost. Here we go, 9202. Nearest bridge is suddenly over troubled waters. Okay, nice pun, I get that. Nice little turn of phrase. So the nearest bridge, which isn't necessarily very close to the player characters in general, but a proper bridge. I'm not going to say a log. We're going to say an actual proper constructed bridge made of whatever material the bridge is made out of, is suddenly finding itself deluged, literally, by troubled waters. So there's now a flood, and the bridge is now imperiled. Now, if it's not close to the player characters could, again, if they're good people, could find the bridge and see what's going on and fix it. This could also be going on. They don't know it. So they do something. It results in the troubled waters. Bridge gets damaged or destroyed. Then the player characters find themselves encountering a bridge that's not there anymore, unaware that they are the direct cause of that damage. So that you don't necessarily have knowledge that the spell that you're casting has gone awry and caused the troubled waters and damaged the bridge and or imperiling lives directly. You may have no idea what's going on. Maybe you can do it with a spell craft check or something like that, so you would understand that, yes, there's been a random effect from my spell. I should probably figure out what that is. And maybe they can hunt down and figure out what's going on. Of course, if the group is neutral or evil, maybe they don't care that the bridge has been damaged. But at least that's an offshoot, which is a little more interesting, I think, than some of the results we've gotten here. This has a tangible, real-world result. It could have affected other people's lives, even the lives of the player characters. So that's not a bad one. I kind of like that one. It's a certain level of complexity that I appreciate. Alrighty. 9331. 9331. We're going to stay down here at the bottom of the list. That's okay. 9331. Here we go. Next person nearby to draw blood is himself sprayed with blood. That's more of a FX kind of thing. It's more of a special effects result. There's no damage unless, of course, the person in question has some kind of phobia about being covered in blood, which would be kind of uncommon, but entertaining. That one's hard to roll into a better idea. Now, if you take that, the blood in question won't come off. Now, that's more interesting. So whether the drawing of the blood in question was justified or unjustified, say that they were a murderer, or they were just fighting in self-defense, and let's face it, if you hit someone with almost any kind of weapon, there's the chance of drawing blood. So even if you're using a very blunt weapon, you can still draw blood from somebody. Billy clubs can draw blood. Saps can draw blood if you're unlucky. And so you could be trying to harm someone in a way that doesn't draw blood, or rendering them unconscious and not trying to harm them more than you have to, and still draw blood and end up covered in blood. So I like the idea of the blood not going away. So the player character suddenly finds themselves drenched with blood. They can't get rid of it, and they have to figure out, how do I get this blood off? Now, it'd be even more interesting to say it's on their clothing. They take their clothing off. They put their clothing down. They put on clean clothes, and the blood returns. So the blood isn't on them physically. The blood is on them metaphysically. They have now been cursed. So anything they put on has blood on it in the same manner until they can get it removed, or they atone or something like that. Now that's a better idea. I like that one. That's a good one. Alrighty. 47. We're going to go halfway to 47. Whoops. Shot past the 47. Here we go. Any bludgeon that hits the target turns to sponge as it does so. So any blunt weapon that hits the target turns to sponge as it does so. So that's kind of that's a rare one. So first of all, you have to the spell has to target something, okay, and then you have to hit that target with a blunt weapon. It then turns that blunt weapon into sponge. Any target that hits any bludgeon that hits the target turns to sponge as it does so. Now, is that a temporary thing for 24 hours or is it permanent? That's a big bonus if it's permanent, and it's going to piss off a lot of people. So I would have it last depending on the power of the spell. So a really low level spell that might only last a couple of hours. But if it's a higher power spell, it may last days, weeks, or years. But anything that hits that target then turns to sponge. Now the item may stay that way, but I would have it probably turn back at the end of the spell. So you maybe hit somebody with a blunt weapon, it turns to sponge, and when the spell effect fades, that weapon then turns back to what its original constituents was. Whatever, wood, metal, you get it. So yeah, that could be interesting because being hit by a sponge is not going to cause a lot of damage, folks. It's not even going to cause you like non-lethal damage. It just isn't. So that was number 3. Number 4. 1503. 1503. Here we go. Caster sees as if his eyes were where his ears are. I have to assume he now hears from where his eyes were. Now, you could have it be a magical effect wherein suddenly you're looking here, suddenly you're looking there. Or the organs themselves are transposed, which I find more entertaining. So suddenly the person's ears are here and their eyes are here. And suddenly they're a gecko. That's going to be really disconcerting. Our brains are not wired for that. At least not humans. This is what we're used to looking at. We're not used to looking at this. So that's going to be very, very strange. And again, duration should probably be based on the power of the spell. Or if you want to be a real jerk, boom, you're now cursed like this, and you have to get a remove curse or something similar to that to get the situation reassessed. And in the meantime, people are going to freak out. Now, if it's just a magical effect where your eyes remain here, but you're seeing from here anyway, that's less of an issue because you can still appear to be quite normal, and then you have people will be wondering why is the guy doing this when he's talking to me? Why is he looking over there? Well, he's not actually looking over there. He's actually looking at you. He just can't see otherwise. So yeah, that's interesting. I like that one. Okay, that's funny. That's not a game changer in the fact it's not going to destroy a person's ability to function, but it's going to make their life far more complex, and you're probably going to want to get that fixed. And number 5. Whoa, all the way down. 9828. 9828. 9828. Oops, went too far. Overshot the list. 98. 60s. 50s. Here we go. 9828. The entire area begins sinking at a rate of 1 foot per week. All right, you're going to have an area of effect on this, either whether the spell has an area effect or the spell creates an area effect, which is the side effect. And again, that should be based on the power of the spell. The power of the spell should, if it's a low-level spell, it's going to be, a 10-foot area. But if it's a very powerful spell, say it's an 8th or 9th level spell using, D&D or Pathfinder, it's going to be a very large area. It could be measured in miles, and now it suddenly starts to sink. And we're assuming that wherever the spell was cast is the epicenter of that particular area. So maybe people in the area figured out who did this, and they want to know why the heck you've done this and how the heck do you fix it. Or the people are completely unaware what's going on. And this could have some major problems for the area because If it's on a hill, at first it's just going to be inconvenient. The whole area is going to change. But if it was in a relatively flat place, you just created a round lake. And if it's a 9th level spell and say it works for a long time, even if it's just 9 weeks, that's a 9-foot hole. And that's going to fill up and turn into a pond. But if it's deeper than that, say it lasts more than 9 weeks, say you have a random amount of power, or say the GM decides, okay, this was Earth-based to begin with, so it's going to be even more effective, or it was not Earth-based, so it may be a little slower. That could dictate how long the spell operates. So think of 1 foot per week. It could go very deep indeed. And you could be making some major changes to the topography of the region. And again, you're going to be you're going to turn something into a lake, because eventually you're going to get water flowing into that hole that you have created, and then that's going to be a problem for the people that live in that world, in that region. So yeah, that can have some major effects. And again, the party may not be aware that it's happening, and I'm sorry, the cat may not be aware it's happened, so they could be long gone before the side effects of this particular spell have taken place. But that could have a major issue for an area. And if they link it back to the player characters and somebody comes looking for restitution, that could be interesting. Alrighty, so this has been the latest episode of Net Librum. I think we're on number 5, if I'm not incorrect. Hope you've enjoyed it. I have. And I hope you've enjoyed Mandarin being here, because she is really glad that we're back in the office.